Good morning, church. This is going to be my favorite passage in the whole book because we're in quarantine. Listen to what it says. I'm not a fan of quarantining. Have you guys picked up on that yet? Here's what the passage says. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who's in authority? Then do what is good, and you'll receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, because he does not carry the sword in vain. He's the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. For because of this, you also pay taxes. That's another favorite part. For the authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, honor to whom honor is owed. And so this is a great passage as we think about Paul speaking to the Romans. No matter how hard you think the rules are that we are subject to today, imagine living in Roman Empire in Paul's day. Right? Way worse. So much worse. And what Paul is doing is he's saying, church, you don't live for this world. You're of a kingdom that is from above. This is not our home. We're just passing through. So a couple things to just recognize. We're American. We're not Roman. We live in a different culture. Friend, Christian, it is okay for us to peaceably, as is allowed by our Constitution, to protest and be against our government. But we need to subject ourselves to them also, which means, I pray for my mayor, my governor, pray for my president, pray for congressmen and women. We pray for all those people, and we hope that God guides them and does what is great in their lives. A couple questions just to think about. How do we subject ourselves to a government or submit ourselves to a government, even when we feel like what the government is doing is not righteous? Like Paul says, they do what is good and they're God's servant. What if we feel like they're not that? How does that impact our choices? Second thing, maybe to think about, how do we respect our government and our authorities that are over us, even if we don't maybe necessarily like the choices that we do? How can we show support for them?